Good afternoon, friends. Let's open a box of Secrets of Strixhaven play boosters. A little dent on the box. Those all pop nice. Secret layer invitation. Draft archetypes. Rapier Wit. Deluge Virtuoso. Expressive Fire Dancer. Follow the Lumerettes. Burog Banemaker. Render Speechless. Stadium Tidal Mage. Inkshape Demonstrator. Old Growth Educator. Vibrant Outburst. Ooh, I like this one. Wild Growth Archaic. With an alternate art, full art. Trample, Reach, Converge. This creature enters with a 1/1 counter on it. For each color of mana spent to cast it, you can get up to 4 1/1 counters. Whenever you cast a creature spell, that creature enters with X additional 1/1 counters on it, where X is the number of colors of mana spent to cast it. Sleight of Hand. Eagerglyph Mage. Forest. And a token. Elemental, Cuttlefish Elemental, and a Boring Treasure. Chase Inspiration. Seize the Spoils. Hungry Giraffalon. Last Gasp. Interjection. Mage Tower Referee. Colossus of the Blood Age. The Bloodage. Brush Off. Witherbloom Charm. The charms in this set are pretty good. Destroy target non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. Sacrifice a permanent if you do draw 2 cards or gain 5 life. Diary of Dreams. Dina's Guidance. That's a rare. Search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand or graveyard, then shuffle. Not a great tutor. Not a great tutor for a rare. Bulk Up. Like that art. Page Loose Leaf. Shiny. Mountain. And a token. Elemental Fractal. So far, we only got 1 rare in each pack. Let's hope for some better luck. Let's get some multi-rare packs. Let's see some multi-rares. Rearing Embermere. Burog Barrage. Cheerful Osseomancer. Ajani's Response. Essence Scatter. Imperious Ink Mage. Visionary's Dance. Divergent Equation. Return up to X target instant and or sorcery cards from your graveyard to your hand, and then exile Divergent Equation. Borrowed Knowledge. Discard your hand, then draw cards equal to the number of cards in target opponent's hand, or discard your hand, then draw cards equal to the number of cards discarded this way. So you can force someone else to discard and draw, or you can discard and draw. Proctor's Gaze. Return up to one target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, search your library for a basic land card, put it into the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. Little bit of tempo play with lands. Mathemagics. Let's go. For 14 mana, you could win a game of Standard, or 16 mana, you could knock out one opponent in Commander. Stock up. Topiary Lecturer. Forum of Amity. And some really off-center tokens. Tome Blast, Shopkeeper's Bane, Pull from the Grave, Ajani's Response, Quick Study, Render Speechless, Embrace the Paradox, Garrison Excavator, Menace. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, create a 2/2 red and white spirit creature token. Essence Knit Scholar. When this creature enters, create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token. Whenever this creature token attacks, you gain 1 life. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died under your control this turn, draw a card. That's been pretty decent in draft. I like that one. End the Hunt. Target opponent exiles a creature or planeswalker they control with the greatest mana value among creatures and planeswalkers they control. Solid card in draft. Arc of Hunger. We already got one of these last box, but it's a cool art. I like it. Monstrous Rage. Elite Interceptor. It's a good draft card. Spectacle Summit. And a Fractal / Needler Pest. Rearing Embermare, Burog Barrage, Cheerful Osteomancer, Ajani's Response, Page Loose Leaf, Visionary's Dance, Snooping Page. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature, this creature can't be blocked this turn. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card and lose 1 life. Environmental Scientist. When this creature enters, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Startled Relic Sloth. Trample, lifelink. At the beginning of combat on your turn, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard. Transcendent Archaic. Vigilance with Converge. When this creature enters, you may draw X cards, where X is the number of colors of mana spent to cast this spell. If you draw 1 or more cards this way, discard 2 cards. So hopefully you're using that in a multicolored deck. Practiced Offense. This is a good one. Put a 1/1 counter on each creature target player controls. Target creature gains your choice of a double strike or lifelink until end of turn, and then you can flash it back for 1 and a plains, 1 and a white. It's a good one. Locust Spray. I don't see the appeal of this card, so maybe someone can tell me why that card is good, or if it is good, if it's not good. Quillblade Laureate, double strike. This creature enters prepared. Target creature gets +1/+0 and gains double strike until end of turn. Not bad for 2 mana. Titan's Grave, and off-center tokens. I'm thinking that centered tokens, those are going to be the misprint, as if they're centered. Tackle Artist, Oracle's Restoration, Masterful Flourish, Owlin Historian, Banishing Betrayal, Wilt in the Heat, Prismari Charm, surveil 2, then draw a card, or deal 1 damage to each of 1 or 2 targets, or return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Not bad. Not bad at all. Soaring Stone Glider, Rabid Attack. This one's better than I thought it was initially. Until end of turn, any number of target creatures you control each get +1/+0 and gain when this creature dies, draw a card. Yeah, you could really, and it's at instant speed, so you send in a bunch of low toughness stuff and you swing in and they block it and they're like, ha ha ha, and then you just draw a bunch of cards. So really great in a token deck where you're making a bunch of little stuff. Snarl Song, Converge, create 2 0/0 green and blue fractal creature tokens, put X +1/+1 counters on each of them, and you gain X life, where X is the number of colors of mana spent to cast this spell. Yeah, that Converge really wanting you to use lots of different colors. Flashback. Target instant or sorcery in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to its mana cost. Flashback a flashback and then flash it back. Flashback. Storm Count. Knockout Maneuver. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Then it deals damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls. Pretty good in limited in draft. Daydream. Exile target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control with a +1/+1 counter. That is a decent flicker card with flashback. Yeah, we take those. We take those. Flicker, 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 and it's shiny. Spectacle Summit. I really like the cool head mountain thing going on there. The Cuttlefish Elemental and the Treasure. Stone Docent, Muse's Encouragement, Strife Scholar, Efflorescence, Wander Off, Pest Mascot. That's really a good one in draft. 2/3 trample. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Yeah, that's a pretty good one in draft, I found. Wilt in the Heat. The spell costs 2 less to cast if 1 or more cards left your graveyard this turn. Wilt in the Heat deals 5 damage to target creature. If that creature would die this turn, exile it instead. Pricey removal at common. Could be lowered if you're doing exiling your own stuff, flickering your own stuff, exiling cards from your graveyard. There's some synergy for that. Paradox Surveyor. When this creature enters, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a land card or card with X in its mana cost from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Yeah, not bad for 3/3 reach, and then it does a thing. That's a thing. Stirring Honormancer. When this creature enters, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of creatures you control. Put 1 of those cards into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Seems to be a theme there. Infirmary Healer. This creature enters prepared and it has Stream of Life attached to it. A 2/3 with Stream of Life. Interesting. Off center, as you can see. Very close to the top. Not a misprint, just poor QA. Harmonized Trio. Tap 2 untapped creatures you control. This creature becomes prepared. And then I can do Brainstorm with it. Ooh. Crackle with Power deals 5 times X damage to each of up to X targets. You need a payoff spell, you got a lot of mana, crackle with power. And look at that cool art. Goblin Glassrite, shiny shiny. Plains. And a fractal. Spirit. That's a cool looking spirit. Banishing Betrayal, Ancestral Anger, Noxious Newt, he's a newt. Masterful Flourish, Element Mascot, that's a really good one in draft. Page Loose Leaf, Spirit Call Enthusiast. Whenever one or more tokens you control enter, this creature becomes prepared. With Scroll Boost, 1 or 2 target creatures each get +2/+2 until end of turn. Pretty good one in a limited environment, especially draft. That is a decent card. Teacher's Pest. Teacher's Pest. This is another good one in limited. 1/1 Menace. Whenever this creature attacks, you gain 1 life. Return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped if you pay a black and a green. Great if you're doing those graveyard shenanigans. Fractalize. Until end of turn, target creature becomes a green and blue fractal with base power and toughness equal to X+1. That's a fun one to either pump your stuff or make their stuff small at instant speed. Thorn Fist Striker. Look at all these cards in their top. Not centered, towards the top. Interesting. It's a 3/3 with Ward 1 and Infusion. Creatures you control get +1/+0 and have trample as long as you gained life this turn. Geometer's Arthropod. Whenever you cast a spell with X in its mana cost, look at the top X cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And Deduce. Draw a card and investigate. Sneering Shade Rider. Spectacle Summit. Fractal Inkling. Hopefully you guys can't hear the dog barking. Unsubtle Mockery. Glorious Decay. Sneering Shade Rider. That Glorious Decay is good in draft. Eager Glyph Mage is another good one in draft. When this creature enters, create a 1/1 white-black Inkling creature token with flying. You flicker it. Keep making those things. Run Behind. Potioner's Trove. Borrowed Knowledge. We got one of those earlier. Micah, Reader of Ruins. Old Growth Educator. This one's decent. Vigilance, Reach, and Infusion. When this creature enters, put 2 1/1 counters on it if you gained life this turn. Choreographed Sparks. I like this one. Choose one or both. Copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Copy target creature spell you control. Copy gains haste at the beginning of the next end step. Sacrifice this token. That could be pretty good in Zada, if you're playing non-popper Zada. Tragedy Feaster. We got a double rare in this pack. Trample. Ward, discard a card, and it has Infusion. At the beginning of your end step, sacrifice a permanent unless you gained life this turn. So a 7/6 trample with a downside if you're not gaining life. So you definitely want to put that in a life-gaining deck. Duty Beyond Death. I like that card. It's really good in draft, and the art is super cool. Ooh. Look at that. Silver Quill the Disputant. Shiny Elder Dragon. 4/4 flying, vigilance. Each instant and sorcery spell you cast has casualty 1. As you cast that spell, you may sacrifice a creature with power 1 or greater. When you do, copy the spell, and you may choose new targets for the copy. Look at that. That's freaking cool. I like that. Might have to build a deck around it. Full Art Island. And got the Inkling Spirit token. That's definitely the first I would consider big hit. I guess the Crackle with Power was pretty cool too. Heated Argument. Tenured Concoctor. Send in the Pest. I like this one. Each opponent discards a card. You create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token with whenever this token attacks, you gain 1 life. Good for those discard strategy decks. Honor-bound Page. Textbook Tabulator. Pest Mascot. Talked about that one earlier. Potioner's Trove. Spectacular Sky Whale. Opus card. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, this creature gets +3/+0 until end of turn. If 5 or more mana was spent to cast that spell, put 3 1/1 counters on this creature instead. This is a good one. Gets out of hand quick. Good pickup and draft. Group Project. Create a 2/2 red and white spirit creature token, and you can flash it back by tapping 3 untapped creatures you control. Definitely a tokens matter. Cuboid Colony. A 1/1 flash flying trample with increment. Every time you cast a spell with a mana value greater than that creature's power, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on it. Wild Growth Archaic. We got a regular art of the Wild Growth Archaic. Zombify. Zombie. Molten Note foil. Molten Note deals damage to a target creature equal to the amount of mana spent to cast this spell. Untap all creatures you control. That's cool. Paradox Gardens. And an Elemental Bird. And a treasure. Essence Scatter, Unsubtle Mockery, Glorious Decay, Sneering Shade Rider, Eager Glyph Mage, Render Speechless, Emil Vastlands Roamer. Creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them have trample. You can play 4 in a forest, tap it, create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token, put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of differently named lands you control. This thing's pretty darn good in draft. I definitely got beat by it. Ennis Debate Moderator. When Ennis enters exile, up to 1 other target creature you control, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. At the beginning of your end step, if 1 or more cards were put into exile this turn, put a 1/1 counter on Ennis. This is one of those flickery dudes. Scolding Administrator. Dwarf Cleric Menace. Repartee. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. When this creature dies, if it had counters on it, put those counters on up to 1 target creature. Pretty good. Pretty good and limited. Encouraging Aviator. Whenever this creature attacks, it becomes prepared, and then it has jump. Target creature gains flying until end of turn. Ooh. Restoration Seminar. With Paradigm. Return target non-land permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. I've heard influencers say that this is the worst of the Paradigm cards, which it just takes more specific setup. All right, you're playing from your own graveyard or lots of sack outlet stuff. So you're either milling or sacking your stuff or some way to get creatures into your graveyard. I like the art on this Paradox Gardens. Inkling Spirit. Moving right along. What do you think, friends? How are we doing so far on these polls? I think we're doing okay. Unsubtle Mockery, Mindful Biomancer, Una Alley Shopkeep, Rehearsed Debater, Spellbook Seeker. This is a popper card if I ever saw one. 3/3 flyer with a draw 2, discard 2. That's a decent card. Mage Tower Referee. That's one that I typically draft late in the draft. Ooh! Cody, Vociferous Codex. Legendary artifact creature. You can't cast permanent spells. 4 and tap it, add all the colors. When you next cast a spell this turn, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile an instant or sorcery card with lesser mana value. Until end of turn, you may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put each other card exiled this way on the bottom of your library in a random order. Look at that thing. Spellslinger? I think so. Poisoner's Apprentice. When this creature enters, target creature an opponent controls gets -4/-4 until end of turn if you gain life this turn. Simone's Experiment. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal up to 2 creature and or land cards from among them. Then put the rest at the bottom of your library in a random order. Put all the land cards revealed this way onto the battlefield tapped, and put all creature cards revealed this way into your hand. It's a fun one. Kyril, History Buff, Vampire Cleric. Whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, Kyril becomes prepared. Mill a card, put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. It gains trample until end of turn. That is not something I'd expect to see on a vampire. Nita, Forum Consolator. Did I get an error? Yeah. Whenever you cast a spell you don't own, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Sacrifice another creature, exile target instant or sorcery card from an opponent's graveyard. You may cast it this turn, and mana of any type can be spent to cast that spell. If that spell would be put into a graveyard, exile it instead. Activate only as a sorcery. I somehow doubt that the poor print quality is going to make that any more valuable. Shared Roots, like the art on that. Decent ramp spell. Hydro Channeler. It's a good one in draft if you can pick it up late if you're playing blue. Titan's Grave. Fractal West. Ooh, is this a good sign? Is this a good sign? Professor Delian Fell. Tome Blast. Mindful Biomancer. Ulna Alley Shopkeep. Shattered Acolyte. Terrafractal. Inkling Mascot. Harsh Annotation. Destroy target creature. Its controller creates a 1/1 white and black Inkling creature token with flying. That's really good in draft. Rapturous Moment. Draw 3 cards, then discard 2 cards. Add 2 blue and 3 red. Get that storm count up. Transcendent Archaic. Aberrant Monoworm. That's another good one. Erode. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. White Ramp. White Removal. Disdainful Stroke. Counter target spell with mana value 4 or greater. Last Gasp. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. Swamp. Swampity swamp swamp. Oh, I put my pest on top of my lands. And Pest and Professor Delian Fell. We did not get the Professor Delian Fell card, just the emblem for him. Maybe he's in the box. Be in the box. Be in the box. Ascendant Dust Speaker. Landscape Painter. Tackle Artist. Tenured Concoctioneer. Cost of Brilliance. Embrace the Paradox. Pigment Wrangler. Flying 4/4. This creature enters prepared. Striking Palette. When you next cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. I mean, that's good. That is good. Definitely in a draft if you have a chance. Pick that up. Summoned Dromedary. 4/3 Vigilance. And you can return it from your graveyard to your hand. Activate only as a sorcery. Social Snub. This one's actually pretty good. You just need one creature and you can 2 for 1 someone. When you cast this spell while you control a creature, you may copy the spell. Each player sacrifices a creature of their choice. Each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. It's a pretty okay card. Can actually be really good. That's definitely a decent commander card. Petrified Hamlet. When this land enters, choose a land card, name, activated abilities. Activated abilities of sources with the chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. Shut down someone's good land. Shut it down. Oh, yeah. This is my 3rd one of these guys. Stirring Hope Singer. 1/3 flying lifelink with repartee. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. That thing is savage. Hop to it. Create 3 1/1 rabbits. Cool art. Zealous Lowercaster. Forest 4 Scump. Copy. That's a cool copy. That's a cool copy. And a spirit. Honorbound Page. Hydro Channeler. Rearing Embermare. Burag Barrage. Terrafractal. Biblioplex Tome Keeper. Harsh Annotation. Growth Curve. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control, then double the number of 1/1 counters on that creature. Hydras, anybody? Foolish Fate. Destroy target creature. Infusion. If you gained life this turn, that creature's controller loses 3 life. Murder Plus. And better mana cost than Murder because it's only 1 black. Splatter Technique. Choose 1. Either draw 4 cards or deal 4 damage to each creature and planeswalker. Not bad, not bad. This is a good pack. This is a good pack. Emeritus of Truce. Look at that. That's a good one. Holy moly. 3/3 for 3. When this creature enters, target player creates a 1/1 white and black Inkling creature token with flying. Then, if an opponent controls more creatures than you, this creature becomes prepared. And then you can Swords to Plowshares. You just flicker it. Flicker it. Stargaze. Love the art on that. Forum Necroscribe. Ward, discard a card, repartee. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Really high cost. I really like the full art planes. Inkling Spirit. Let's get that Planeswalker. Let's get that Planeswalker. Or a Force of Will. What do you guys think? Should we get a Force of Will? Let's will it. Let's will it to happen. Force of will it to happen. Run Behind. Tome Blast. Mindful Biomancer. Olna Alley Sheep Shop, Shattered Acolyte. Elemental Mascot. Mage Tower Referee. Archaic's Agony. Converge. Archaic's Agony deals X damage to target creature, where X is the number of colors of mana spent to cast the spell. Exile cards from the top of your library equal to the excess damage dealt to that creature this way. You may play those cards until the end of your next turn. Honestly, I don't see the appeal. For how much mana that costs, it does not seem good enough. Arcane Omens. Converge. Target player discards X cards, where X is the number of colors of mana spent to cast this spell. I mean, yeah, you could really hurt someone's hand with that, but that's also a pretty high cost. And when you're that late in game, it's not often they have that many cards. Stress Dream. Deal 5 damage to up to 1 target creature. Look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of those cards into your hand and the other on the bottom of your library. Let's go. Deathcap Glade. This land enters tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. Pick your poison. Studious First Year. Shiny Island. Cool Elemental. And a treasure. Off-center tokens. Zealous Lorecaster, Noxious Newt, Borog Banemaker. You know, it's funny, that is at least the 3rd pack that I've had where a Noxious Newt is immediately followed by a Borog Banemaker. Rapier Wit, Landscape Painter, Imperious Ink Mage, Blazing Fire Singer, Blazing Fire Singer with Seething Song. Daydream. Exile target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control with the 1/1 counter on it. You want to flicker things? Then flicker away. Fractal Anomaly. Create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token and put X 1/1 counters on it, where X is the number of cards you've drawn this turn. Blue would never draw cards. Strixhaven Sky Coach. Not a great vehicle. Not great. Vicious Rivalry. As an additional cost to cast this spell, pay X life, destroy all artifact and creatures with mana value X or less. I mean, that is rough. That is a rough cost for that spell. Culling Ritual. Destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. Add a swamp or forest for each permanent destroyed this way. I think that's better, personally. Getting rid of those mana rocks, and then I get mana to do it? Yeah, yes please. Pigment Wrangler. Mountain Full Art. And off-center tokens. I really wish they'd put art cards in these still. You can only get them in collectors now. Seize the Spoils. Hungry Giraffalon. Sneering Shade Rider. Elite Interceptor. That's a good one. Chase Inspiration. Target creature you control gets +0/+3 and gains hexproof until end of turn. This one, surprisingly good. Bogwater Lumerette. Whenever this creature or another creature you control enters, you gain 1 life. Sneaky good card. This is another sneaky good one. Whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Sneaky good in draft. Vibrant Outburst. Deal 3 damage to any target. Tap 1 target creature. We looked at this earlier. Good value in a draft. Ennis, Debate Moderator. It's that flicker dude. Another good one. Ooh, what did we get? Together as 1. Converge. Target player draws X cards. Together as 1 deals X damage to any target, and you gain X life, where X is the number of colors of mana spent to cast this spell. That's definitely a sorcery for a multicolor commander deck or something. Repel Calamity. Love the art on it. It looks so cool. Heated Argument. Field of Strife. Fractal Spirit. Ooh, this one's tough to open. Does that mean we're going to get something good? Force of Will. Force of Will. Howlin' Historian. Procrastinate. Zealous Lorecaster. Oracle's Restoration. Send in the Pest. Spirit Mascot. Bogwater Limmeret. We got those in the last pack. Quandrix Charm. Choose one. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. Destroy target enchantment. Or target creature has base power and toughness 5/5 until end of turn. The charms are decent. Tablet of Discovery. Ooh. When this artifact enters, mill a card. You may play that card this turn. And you can tap and add some mana or some more mana if you're casting an instant or sorcery spell. Mana, 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 mana. Storm Count. Orisa, Tide Choreographer. This spell costs 3 less to cast if creatures you control have total toughness 10 or greater. When she enters, draw 2 cards. Get it in for cheap if you've got a little bit of a board state going, and then flicker her and draw cards. White, blue, they don't flicker well together, right? Grave Researcher, reanimate on a stick. Except his becoming prepared is a little tougher. At the beginning of your upkeep, surveil 1. Then, if there are 3 or more creature cards in your graveyard, this creature becomes prepared. So you can't just right away reanimate something good. It does take a second. Burst Lightning. You already have to have a graveyard going for that thing to work. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. Put 2 1/1 counters on up to 1 target creature. Shiny Plains. Inkling Spirit. Force of Will. Force of Will. Force of Will. Will. Force of Will. Ugh, I don't like the way I opened that pack. Gross. Terramorphic Expanse. Where do I even put that? Over here. Cheerful Osteomancer, Shattered Acolyte, Essence Scatter, Goblin Glassrite, Imperious Ink Mage, Homesickness. Target player draws 2 cards, tap up to 2 target creatures, put a stun counter on each of them. It's a high cost. That's one of those, if you can draft it late, decent in draft. Molten Note. Deals damage to target creature equal to the amount of mana spent to cast this spell. Untap all creatures you control. Pretty good. Topiary Lecturer. This thing's good in draft. Might even be good in other places. 1/2 with increment. Tap, add an amount of forests equal to this creature's power. And with increment, it's getting its power up. Zafi and the Tempests. Once during each of your turns, you may cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand without paying its mana cost. That's insane! Does that mean I can do an X spell and just X equals whatever the hell I want? I want to know. I want to know. Does that do that? Once during each of your turns, you may cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand without paying its mana cost. I don't know, man. That makes it sound like I can do some X shenanigans. Berta, Wise Extrapolator. We got one of these last time. Increment. Whenever 1 or more 1/1 counters are put on Berta, add 1 mana of any color. And then you can pay X and create a fractal with X 1/1 counters on it. It's pretty good. Pretty good if you're making lots of mana. I like Requisition Raid. That is a staple in my commander decks. Fix What's Broken. We got lots of rares in that pack. As an additional cost to cast this spell, pay X life. Return each artifact and creature card with mana value X from your graveyard to the battlefield. So you have to be exact. So you pay 4 mana, and then X life, and you can return each artifact and creature card with mana value matching the life you lost from the graveyard to the battlefield. That could be really good if you build your deck to use it well enough. And then we have Spectacle Summit and a Fractal / Spirit. Quick Study, Goblin Glassrite, Shopkeeper's Bane, Pull from the Grave, Rehearsed Debater, Fractal Mascot, Lecturing Scorn Mage with Repartee, and it's put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Now that's decent for a 1-cost 1/1 that helps itself grow. Abstract Paint Mage, at the beginning of your first main phase, add some mana. Spend this mana only to cast instant or sorcery spells. That's a good one in draft for sure. Quillblade Laureate, we talked about how that one's good. Additive Evolution. When this enchantment enters, create a fractal, put 3 1/1 counters on it. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control, and it gains Vigilance until end of turn. Pretty good. Pretty sure I got one of these last time. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may tap 3 untapped creatures you control. If you do, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. If you build around it, sure, it's good, but I've seen it in draft, and I didn't have supporting cards for it. Spell Pierce, Stirring Honormancer in foil, Titan's Grave in foil, Fractal, Spirit. Force of Will. Force of Will. Strife Scholar, Efflorescence, Melancholic Poet. This one's pretty good in draft. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery that targets a creature, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Stone Docent, I like this one in limited and draft. Muse's Encouragement, Terrafractal, Inkling Mascot, Arnin Deathbloom Botanist. Death Touch, whenever a creature you control with power or toughness 1 or less dies, target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. If you're doing that aristocrat stuff, it can be good. Practiced Scrollsmith. 3/2 first strike. When this creature enters, exile target non-creature, non-land card from your graveyard until end of your next turn. You may cast that card. That's pretty decent. Muse Seeker with Opus. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, draw a card. That's good. Then discard a card unless 5 or more mana was spent to cast that spell. It's okay. Not as good as I initially thought. Shattered Sanctum. That can go in the Silver Quill deck, huh? What do you think? Helping Hand. Return target creature with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Masterful Flourish. Fields of Strife. Fractal Pest. We're almost out of cards to open. Almost there. Off-center tokens. Rubble Rouser, Wild Hypothesis, Last Gasp, Ascendant Dust Speaker, Procrastinate, Rancorous Archaic, Micah Reader of Ruins, Forum Necroscribe. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a ward cost of discard a card. This is a good one in draft limited. 4/4 reach for 4. When this creature dies, create 2 1/1 black-green pest creature tokens. Exhibition Tidecaller with Opus. Target player mills 3 cards. If 5 or more mana was spent to cast that spell, that player mills 10 cards instead. Does anyone play mill? Is mill even a strategy? Ho! Ho ho ho! Lorehold the Historian. Flying, haste. Each instant and sorcery card in your hand has Miracle too. Fuck yeah, buddy. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Yes, sir. We're putting that with Silver Quill. And he thought that was a big score. Well, how about this one? Another big score. As an additional cost to cast this spell, discard a card, then draw 2 cards and create 2 treasure tokens. Mana Sculpt, shiny. Look at this. What a pack. Counter target spell. If you control a wizard, add an amount of colorless equal to the amount of mana spent to cast that spell at the beginning of your next main phase. That's fucking sick. Pardon my language. What a counter spell. What a cancel plus, right? And a forest. Not a force of will. Not a force of will, but Mana Sculpt, that's a good counter. That's a counter. We like that counter. Quick Study. Goblin Glassrite, Shopkeeper's Bane, Pull from the Grave, Rehearsed Debater, Grapple with Death, destroy a target artifact or creature, you gain 1 life. Thunderdrum Soloist with Opus. This creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. If 5 or more mana was spent to cast that spell, this creature deals 3 damage to the opponent instead. So sort of like a Gutter Snipe. Spirit Call Enthusiast. Whenever 1 or more tokens you control enter, this creature becomes prepared. And it's got scroll boost. We looked at that one earlier. Oh, I put Forum Necroscribe in the wrong spot. Spirit Call Enthusiast, Teacher's Pest, Fractalize. That's the one where you can buff your stuff, weaken someone else's stuff. Ambitious Augmenteer with increment 1/1. When this creature dies, if it had 1 or more counters on it, create a fractal, then put this creature's counters on that token. That's a good 1-drop. That is a really solid 1-drop. Stock up. Rapturous Moment, shiny. Cool looking island. Wish that was a full art. And some tokens. We're down to 6 packs to go. Spellbook Seeker, Rubble Rouser, Wild Hypothesis, Adventurous Eater, Elite Interceptor, Pursue the Past. You gain 2 life. You may discard a card. If you do, draw 2 cards. And flashback, Grapple with Death, Dissection Practice. That's a decent one. I like that one in draft. Tam, Observant Sequencer. Landfall, whenever a land you control enters, Tam becomes prepared, and then you can dig deep, draw a card, and gain a life. That thing is a solid value engine. I could see this being a good, fun, popper EDH deck. Sundering Archaic. Ooh. Withering Curse. All creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. If you gained life this turn, destroy all creatures instead. Oh, that is a board wipe. That is a good black board wipe. A Braid with a cool art. And a Hungry Graph. Forum. Inkling. Spirit. Force of Will, Force of Will, Force of Will. Ancestral Anger. It's so funny, I just bought a bunch of Ancestral Angers before, way before this set came out. Cost of Brilliance, Interjection for Zada, Deluge Virtuoso, Stadium Tidal Mage, Biblioplex Timekeeper, Scolding Administrator, That's a good one. Encouraging Aviator. Thunderdrum Soloist. Hardened Academic. Flying Haste. Discard a card. This creature gains lifelink until end of turn. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. That's a decent card. Giant Growth. Muse's Encouragement. Cool looking Swamp. Fractal Pest. Is the good pest a good sign? Force of Will, Force of Will. Dig Site Inventory. Textbook Tabulator. Heated Argument. Studious First Year. Melancholic Poet. Rancorous Archaic. Stand Up for Yourself. Destroy target creature with power 3 or greater for 3 mana. Mind Roots. Target player discards 2 cards. Put up to 1 land card discarded this way onto the battlefield tapped under your control. That could be a good card. Dual Tactics. Deals 1 damage to target creature. It can't block this turn and then flash back. That could go in Zada. Or anything. That's not really a Zada card. Campus Composer. Steal the Show. Target player discards and then draws, or you deal damage equal to the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard to target creature or planeswalker. That seems meh. Feed the Swarm. Destroy target creature or enchantment an opponent controls, you lose life equal to that permanent's mana value. Enchantment removal in black is good. Duty Beyond Death foil. Love it. That is finding a home in one of my decks for sure. Mountain. I don't like mountains that are too building-y. I want it to just be cool mountain art. Fractal Pest. Just 3 packs. 3 packs left. Expressive Fire Dancer, Follow the Lumerettes, Wander Off, Dig Site Inventory, Hydro Channeler, Fractal Mascot, Pursue the Past, Root Manipulation. Until end of turn, creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain Menace. Whenever this creature attacks, you gain 1 life. This is actually way better than I thought it was in a draft environment. I skipped that card a couple of times, and then someone used it against me, and I was like, oh yeah, that's good if you have lots of stuff out. When this enchantment enters, return target non-land permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. At the beginning of your end step, if a card left your graveyard this turn, draw a card. Living History. Color Storm Stallion. Someone had this during pre-release. This is good. Ward 1, Haste. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. If 5 or more mana was spent to cast that spell, create a token that's a copy of this creature. This thing can get out of hand. Royal Treatment. 1 cost protection. That's decent. Infirmary Healer. Stream of Life on a stick. Forum of Amity, Elemental, Treasure. Second to last pack. Force of Will, Force of Will, Force of Will. Pest. Glorious Decay. Adventurous Eater. Eager Glyph Mage. Run Behind, Tome Blast, Visionary's Dance, Potioner's Trove, Killian's Confidence. This thing is so good. Target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn, draw a card. It is sorcery speed, so yeah, okay, whatever. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you may pay a white or a black. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to your hand. Just do this, you know, over and over and over again. I think so good. Flow State. Garrison Excavator. Post-Mortem Professor. This creature can't block. When this creature attacks, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Pay 2, exile an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. Return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Zombie that you can bring back over and over again. Zombies like that. Bitter Triumph. Spellbook Seeker. Fields of Strife. That was not a Force of Will. Force of Will. Force of Will. Spellbook Seeker. Rubble Rouser. Wild Hypothesis. Adventurous Eater. Elite Interceptor. Rancorous Archaic. Bogwater Lumerette. Lumerette's Favor. Lorehold Charm. That's a good charm. Each opponent sacrifices a non-token artifact of their choice. Return target artifact or creature card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample until end of turn. That is a solid charm. Leech Collector. Whenever you gain life for the first time each turn, this creature becomes prepared. Bletch Loafing Fist. Pretty sure we got one of those last time. Monstrous Rage. Oh, it is not a Force of Will, but it is Fracture. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or planeswalker with no drawback. That is good. That is a good piece of spot removal in black-white. Artifact removal. Yeah. That's solid. That's a good card. I like this. That's a good pull. Stoked. That's the last real card of these packs, and that is a good one. I like it. I like it a lot. And then we got a Plains and a Fractal / Pest. Let's take a look at the polls. Let's go through the polls one last time, huh? What do you say? Get these all together. What do we get? I mean, you definitely heard me stoked on some of these, and I am. We'll do a quick count of how many rares and mythic rares we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. 30 packs, 43 pulls as they were. Shattered Sanctum, Deathcap Glade, Petrified Hamlet. So we got 3 lands together as one. Cody Vociferous Codex, Ambitious Augmenteer, 2 Wild Growth Archaics with the cool art on one of those. Steal the Show, Big Score, Choreographed Sparks, Crackle with Power, Flashback, Postmortem Professor, Withering Curse, Grave Researcher. I think I have 3 of these now. Tragedy Feaster. I'm pretty sure I have 2 of those. Monosculpt Holofoil. I love this one. That is cool. Cool art. Good card. I like it. Exhibition Tidecaller. Harmonized Trio. Mathemagics. Emeritus of Truce. Stirring Hope Singer. Erode. Pretty sure I have 2 of those. Restoration Seminar. I'll probably trade that. Who am I kidding? I don't trade anything away. Practiced Offense. Ooh. Fracture. That thing's freaking sweet. Bleach. He's a loaf of best. Color Storm Stallion. Hardened Academic. Aziza Mage Tower Captain. Wow. Fix what's broken. Berta Wise Extrapolator. There are 2 types of people in this world. Those who can extrapolate from incomplete data sets. Zephi and the Tempests. Sounds like a band. Culling Ritual. Vicious Rivalry. Splatter Technique. Nita with a misprint. Geometer's Arthropod. Arc of Hunger. Dina's Guidance. Lorehold, behold, Lorehold. And last but not least, Silver Quill, the Disputant. Disputant, not a mutant. Shiny, shiny. Yeah, I think I'm might take apart Ketramos and take its guts to make Silver Quill. Anywho, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I had fun opening packs, and I will be opening some of the Vegas Mystery Booster 2 packs soon. I look forward to you guys watching that, seeing me open those, and drop a comment, like, subscribe, do all that stuff that everyone always says that I cringe at. And so now I'll say it and be cringy too. Okay, love you. Bye.